everyone, and welcome back to the CQQC podcast. My name is Gabe, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Bryan and Nate, as always, and we are back for another episode of the podcast. This is episode 21 plus 1, 22. We're excited to get this one going. This one is going to be, I guess we might do a couple episodes on this topic, but we decided we want to kind of talk more about the social side of Quidditch, if you will. So talking about some of those road trips to tournaments, some of the fun jokes and whatnot that kind of goes along with playing the sport, just kind of talk more of the fun stories from Quidditch. We're looking forward to having a couple guests on, any stories that come to mind, boys?
There's so many.
Too many to count.
I just think like being a sport that's like grew through the college ranks, like Quidditch road trips from like school to school or field to field, wherever you're going, like it's so synonymous with the sport as it's grown, and it's just like it's half the reason why people like okay, we're gonna go to a tournament. Oh, we're gonna have some fun on this road trip. Like there's just stuff to do. Yeah, so many to.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of stories. I think before we bring our first guest on, I think the one that I do want to talk about was the rookie. We had like a rookie Halloween social at Queens in my first year, and that year there was a tournament that happened the same weekend as Halloween. I think it was the Carlton mud. Like it was a mud. Yeah. They called it the Mud Fest. Like it was just.
We left halfway through.
Yeah, the tournament was just like because the weather was brutal that weekend. So like the fields were just absolutely destroyed, like full mud, just brutal. So I remember that weekend. Obviously, people are partying for Halloween on campus, and it was the rookie car. So it was back when I had I call it Miley. It was my old Subaru. Had the typical like lot exhaust, like all the basically your typical like your typical teen car. We called it the Rookie Mobile, that weekend it was myself, Lydia, Darby, Mo Wonka, and Chinny. We were all in the car, it was just an awesome time. Like we had tunes going, blah blah, and we were thinking about what we were gonna dress up for the get together. I can't remember. I think we went to like a Party Plus or something, one of those like discount like party stores or whatever, and. I was like, why don't we just dress up as like the vets? And everyone's like, dude, that is such a good idea. So we all like just like went to this like discount party place on the way back from the tournament. We had dinner. It was awesome. We all got like dressed up as like one of the vets. So I dressed up as Eric. I think it was Lydia's shirt. She had like one of those like white like shirts. There was like Garfield or something on the front. So I wore that, and I had like a beater headband. I had like I got like one of those like red like wigs, and we cut it up, and like I put like ginger sideburns, and like I glued it to my face. I don't know why I decided to do that, but it literally took a glue stick, glued it to my face. I had like glue on my face all like next morning. I was Eric, and then Lydia was Sam. So she had again like a wig. It was so funny. And then Mo was John. John didn't show up, which was disappointing because like Mo killed his part because we ended up doing a skit. That's where I'm trying to go with this, but yeah, Mo was John, Chinny was Mo, and who else? Darby was Kyle. So it was honestly so fun. So we all had like a skit we planned. So we got back, all got dressed. We all went to I think it was either Maddie. I think Maddie was like kind of like recording or whatever. We went to her room, and it was honestly such a great time. We all showed up to the Quid House, did the skit. It was hilarious. Took pictures of all the vets. Long story short, great night, great memory. That's the one I wanted to share before we bring on our guests.
I'm partially disappointed you guys didn't dress up like coming out of the costume store or whatever, and then like you guys. I can't remember who it was. I wasn't there. I've been lucky enough not to be pulled over on a Quidditch road trip, but I can imagine that like. You guys being dressed up coming out of this place, like, okay, we have our costumes ready to go to this party, and then, like, get pulled over, and then the cops is looking, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
It's just like the recipe for absolute like chaos and confusion. Oh,
Yeah, no, speaking of cops and borders, I'm hoping that Marc talks about it. But there's been quite a few stories, I would say, from Marc, and I'm sure many people in the Quidditch community when it comes to crossing the border for playing Quidditch. So obviously with MLQ, going over to the States to play. I'm sure there's been many stories about trying to explain that we were going across to the United States to play a sport with a broom between our legs. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of those stories. But yeah, so our first guest is going to be John Keates. So formerly with, or I guess, yeah, he's still with the Mississauga Manatees. We haven't played Quidditch in a while, so but yeah, I'm assuming he's still with the Manatees. And yeah, a seasoned player in QC, formerly with Waterloo Richbags as well. And yeah, we're looking forward to hearing one or more of his stories that he'll decide to share with us. So looking forward to having him on. And yeah, so welcome Keates to the podcast. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks for coming on. So for those that don't know you, do you want to give a brief explanation or just a brief synopsis of your illustrious Quidditch career?
Sure. So I started playing Quidditch in 2013 with the Waterloo Ridgebacks. I played with them for 6 years, and I was captain for them for 3. Then after that, I played a year with the Mississauga Manatees, and then COVID hit and ruined everything.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I'm also, I think, I'm not sure, but I think I was the first fully certified rep and snitch at the same time. Yeah. So there you go.
I've always joked you're also like the Swiss Army, true Swiss Army knife. Like you have played at every position, like as equally as possible, more than anyone else. Like no one else has the distribution. Like I played like 98% of my time as a keeper, and like 2% just as a case of coming off a penalty or something, right?
Yeah.
You are the closest person to like the true 25 split that I've ever seen.
Probably position in the same game.
When you have for Waterloo, basically the 3 years that I was captain, every year we get like a whole new batch of people. So when you're constantly going through like new people all the time, you're playing every single position just so, because you're like you're watching from the side after playing for so long, and you're like, damn, why is this person so stupid? And you just have to go in and do it yourself, even if you don't really know like what you're doing yourself. You just got to give it your best shot. So.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
I can definitely do it better than whatever they're doing. So, yeah.
Great. So yeah, like I was saying, our episode topic for this week is going to be fun Quidditch stories, whether it be from road trips, from socials that go on, from playing the sport, etc. So yeah, we wanted to have you on to kind of see some of this or hear from some of the stories that you might have from your experiences.
So. My top one, this is the one I always think back to, is back in, I think it was 2016, when regionals was in Montreal, and we were staying at, me and Courtney were staying at Rithy's place, Rithy's flat, and after the tournament, Quidditch Canada, they rented out a bar, and everyone was at the bar for a while and whatever, and then when it finally became time to leave, Courtney and I ordered an Uber to come and get us. Uber comes up, and he's deaf and he only understands French. And what we wanted to communicate to him is that we had to go to another bar to pick up Rick and then go to his flat, right? So the guy comes, he says, don't speak English, and I'm like, okay. And then we go and we get to the bar, and we're sitting out there after we texted Ricky for probably like 10 or 15 minutes in the back of this guy's car, and he keeps looking back at us, being like, are you going to get out? And we just keep on putting like our hand out, like just a couple more minutes, like we're sorry. He doesn't understand what's happening. And then Rithy comes out with this girl who's just completely gone. Just like out of her mind, gone. He comes out with this girl and they get into the cab and the guy's looking at me like, what's going on? And I said, Rithy, he only speaks French. He doesn't understand what we're saying. And he's like, okay, I got you. Tells the guy, like texts him, says this is what's going on. And then off we go. And then out of his backpack that Rithy had brought into him in this club, he pulls out like a 60 of Nutri-Grainers, from his backpack and he starts handing it out to everyone. And, you know, like the Uber driver just casually, yeah, sure, takes it, starts eating it, and the girl takes one. And when we hit the highway, that's when the girl opens up the door while we're on the highway, and she sticks her head out, and she starts throwing up outside of the car door.
No.
And the guy really calmly just, you know, pulls over, lets her finish, and all I hear Rithy say in French is, blah, 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 ferme la porte. He's just like, shut the door after you're done. And I was like, what the fuck? And no one seemed the least bit concerned about this except Courtney and I. And, you know, ride goes fine back there. I give him like a $20 tip, and I'm like, 5-star review. I'm sorry. Get out. And then all we hear for the rest of the night is just that girl puking her mind for like the next 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, that's awful. It blows my mind that the cab driver, like, obviously, if you guys were in Montreal, they mainly spoke French. That's completely normal. But the fact that we're also deaf, it's like, oh my god, I think the immediate realization, if I was in the cab with you, I would be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
These two weirdos are just in the back of our car, goddamn English, won't leave. And then Rithy came out, and it just escalated from there. It was great. It's always a fond memory that we have looking back on that. And whenever you're involved with like Montreal in any kind of way, there's always, you know, something that's kind of going to happen. Like another thing was that after a Guelph tournament one time, I don't know if you remember this. We drove straight that morning to Guelph, played the whole tournament, and then they were driving back to Montreal.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, so they did at the Guelph tournament, and the thing I remember is after they all got back in the car, and that's when they were wearing like those pink like tights. All of them would wear like those pink like spandex like underwear or whatever over top of their stuff. There's 2 Montreal cars, and then in the middle was a third, and the 2 cars on the side were taking turns hitting the car and just laughing hysterically while they're going back and forth. I don't know. That's just in my mind. That's just always, you know, French Canadians are just UDM. They like define what's French Canadian to me. That's always what I think.
Wait. So they like pushed this car. They weren't crashing the car. They like got out and like pushed the car around.
No, like they were in their cars and they were hitting the car in the middle on either side,
like
just
bumper cars?
hysterically laughing, like bumper cars, just hysterically laughing. And the guy couldn't move because if he went forward, he was just going to go back in his parking spot, and if he went back, he was going to hit another car. So he just had to sit there while people were just banging on his cars from side to side. Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh my god, I'm so confused.
Yeah, leave it to you, yeah.
Oh my god.
What?
I was assuming you were going to describe them doing like a 2-car fire drill. Which,
No.
Which like everyone gets out and swamps
it's just cars.
the other car.
No.
Oh my god.
They were hitting the car in the middle with both their cars, and obviously the people in the car couldn't get out because they were hitting the doors of the car, so they just had to sit there. And everyone thought it was hilarious, and the thing that I always find hysterical is that Emma was like the captain of like this wild team, and she's like so reserved compared to most of them. It's just hilarious. It's just, I don't know, it's just out of this world.
Wow.
No.
If we had an animator and we were some big budget podcast, I would love for what you just described to be animated somehow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
So what happened to the car? Like, did it get damaged?
No, it didn't take any damage. I think they're just like maybe light denting, but it was just a little like funk, like all you could hear was just a little clunk, 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 clunk as it kept going back and forth.
Hope those weren't rentals.
No, they're definitely not rentals. No.
Oh my god.
Wow. Lost word there.
Yeah. Moral of the story, don't drive next to DDM players, or now Flamingo players.
Yeah. And then the final one I've got was we would do keggers to fundraise for Waterloo Quidditch. And one thing that happened one night when we were doing this is I put on like one of like our really new players, and it was a big mistake because she bent the tap the wrong way, so it broke off. right? And it had just like reached midnight, and everyone was like asking for their drinks or whatever. Tap was in. So what we had to do is we cut the tap, and someone had to put their finger over it while the other person pumped to build up pressure, and then they would use that to pour it out. But then while that was happening, because I never drink at the keggers because I'm always too stressed out because I'm like, fuck, I need to make my money back. I took my car and I drove around to every bar in downtown Waterloo, going in asking if they had an extra tap that I could buy off of them, and they would all look at you like you're absolutely insane. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? No, like, we don't have that. So eventually I got in contact with my roommate whose cousin was in a frat, and it showed up at his frat, and I asked him for a tap, and I was able to grab that and then go back and save everything. But that's my most stressful Quidditch moment of my life, where I'm like, oh fuck, everyone's gonna ask for their money back, and maybe like $500. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, good
The
thing.
illustrious life of John Keats.
Hey, you got one responsible person out there making sure the enjoyment of everyone is being enjoyed.
I just want to I want to make sure I make my money back. I don't care if anyone likes it or not. I just want my money back. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Great stories. I still can't get over the Montreal story.
Yeah,
I just both Montreal. I'm not even surprised. I mean, we see it all the time at tournaments, right? Where they have those cheers and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was Felix. I remember my first tournament. He wasn't. I'm pretty sure it's Felix, the guy who would always puke. We just call him the puker.
Yes.
Because before games, he would just always puke. And I remember my first year, just constantly seeing this guy puke. I'm like, this guy's gonna have nothing left in his stomach. He just constantly was puking, and I'm like, dude, But
he's
oh
still
man,
the fastest guy on the field. Too.
I know. And he would puke, and then he would just tear it up on the field. It's crazy.
Yeah. Puke and rally, the embodiment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. So yeah, thanks Keates so much for coming on and sharing those stories. That's definitely some memorable stories, and hopefully your fans get a kick out of the stories as well. And yeah, we'd love to have you back on the podcast another time.
Right.
We'll share more incriminating evidence again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow, I don't know, you boys, but that was just I'm still trying to recover from the laughter of that story. Those are great stories from Keats. So thanks again, Keats, for coming on. And yeah, so we'll move on to our next guest. Yeah, so our next guest is Marc Everard. He's a returning guest on our podcast. And welcome, Marc.
Hi, welcome all. Thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep the good times rolling here. So again, thanks for Keats coming on and sharing his stories. And we're looking forward to hearing some of your fun Quidditch stories, whether it be from socials, road trips, et cetera, et cetera. Before we do that, though, we have to ask you, Marc, which car were you in? The left car or the right car?
Or the middle one.
Or the middle car?
Do you happen to know what we're talking about, by chance?
Driving down the highway after a tournament.
So
Nope, not at all.
We found out from Keats, Gabe, and they correct me if I'm not lining this up. Keats saw something where there was 3 cars, one on the left, one on the right, are filled with U-Down players, and there was a 3rd car, which I'm not sure if it was Quidditch players or not.
I think it was.
It was probably Quidditch players, but the 2 cars on either side were just bumping into the car in the center, back and forth. Do you know what happened there? Because
No, to be honest, I think it's the first time I've ever heard of this, so it's probably before my time.
Good. Okay. Don't incriminate yourself. Don't incriminate yourself.
No, I have no such thing, especially since at some point during UM Roadtrips I was driving, so and since I'm not Canadian, I will not do such dumb things. If I want to stay in Canada. I don't want to go back to at least for now.
Well, we want you to stay as well.
Yeah, thanks. So no, I'm pretty sure I was not involved in. I'm 100% sure I was not involved in this, and I'm pretty sure it was before my time.
Okay.
You'll definitely hear about it.
You will hear the whole what Keats encountered.
I hear what Keats said. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, so like I said, let's get the good times rolling. We want to hear your stories. So I know you said you had 2 stories you wanted to share. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah, so well, the first story is more like pretty much base game I've ever played, which was back with the Flamingos. I had a lot of fun games with the Flamingos. Some with you them as well, but I will come back a little later on my stories. But the one game I remembered and I'm pretty proud of it was the third ever game for the Flamingos at their first ever tournament in Montreal, and we played against McGill. So for us, it is always kind of big facing McGill because the town rivalry, and we ended up beating McGill on that game, which went to overtime all the way to the end of overtime. So no snitch catches on overtime. McGill tying the game. They were tying the game by snitch catch in regulation right in front of me, and which resulted in a classic, what I would say, classic Marc Everard outburst during a tournament. Because usually, if I don't have at least one temper tantrum during a tournament, that's a dull affair for me. But I usually mad at myself, and I just snap at myself, go to my go alone for 5 minutes, calm down, and then go back. So thankfully, no one from my teams have ever. At least I'm trying not to direct that to my teammates at least. And to go back on that game, one thing I was most proudest about, proudest, I don't know, proudest, yeah. Proudest about is that we managed to beat McGill. So last game of the tournament, we managed to beat them. McGill, we having a 21-player roster against us, we were 9, and we're like, whoa! It was like we're at the end of the day, we're like, how did we do this? Like, and we thought about it. They are so we and to be honestly, even today, I don't have any clue how we won that game because we were all tired. We were 3 people we were 3 people running for both keeper and center and point chaser. So we're like, so it was just I think we had like 6 or 7 minute shifts or so. So it was pretty much my proudest game. But the main story, and this one you will laugh at, is what happened at the 2017 Festival of Wizardry in Bliss, Ontario. So to give you a bit of context, it was my second ever tournament. I was a rookie at the time at UDEM, and so the tournament was in Ontario. So also for a little bit of context, Bliss, Ontario, for those who are not familiar, is pretty much on the other side of Ontario, near Lake Huron, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so basically from Montreal, it's a 9-hour drive, and so it starts right away. So we have a bus, a yellow school bus for the 9-hour trip to Bliss, and on the other way around. And we are sharing this bus with McGill. And let's just say that in 2017, UDEM was still, very loud. And so we pretty much yelled for 4 hours straight in the bus. So this is when McGill really started to hate us. And but if it was just the yelling during the first 4 hours of the trip, it would have been fine. Then we just all went to sleep. We arrived. The one thing I forgot to precise is we left Montreal at 8 p.m. So we arrived at the location of where we were sleeping. We were sleeping on the lake side of Lake Huron. I can't remember the city location, but we arrived at roughly like 5 a.m. or something. Went to bed like it was on the summer camp. Went to bed at 5:30, only to be woken up at 7:30, and going straight directly to to play for the Wizardry tournament. So we arrived at the first game. On the first day, it was a 2-day tournament. Tired, really tired. And when we arrived, probably the worst conditions I've ever had for a Quidditch tournament. A bit of wind, a lot of rain. It was humid, a lot of mud on the pitch. Honestly, even the very windy game that we had at 2018 Nationals, I think we were all there, was better. So it says something. And it was cold, of course. It was in October, and so we played the first game. It was against Carden. It's fine. The pitch was bad, but it was still okay. And when we arrived for the second game, it was against Urawa. And I remember my teammates warning me about 2 beaters on Urawa. I was like, okay, they're beaters. Only to realize a little later in the game that they were talking about Shaggy and Raph being together. I was like, oh, okay, now I understand why. So the second game, and meanwhile we were just, and between the games we were just goofing around, at every station of the festival, telling jokes and playing werewolves with random people, from what I remember. And the second game, which you can actually find in Piotr's YouTube channel, we have one goal at one moment from one of our players, an old player that you probably all know, who played for Black Bears. His name is Julien Bernier.
Yeah.
And we were we were teasing him because he didn't score all season, and he told us, if I score, I will do something dumb. And he ended up scoring during that game. And what he did, basically, he put his shirt up in his face like a soccer player, started running on the other side, and dived head first into a big flask of mud, And while all of this, while yelling, "God made me special," and we were all like, I remember the Euro was all laughing. I remember I wasn't sure I was on the pitch. No, I was off pitch at that moment. All the refs, it was Valhalla refing. All the refs were laughing hard, and Devin came to us like, "I'm sorry, but I have to give a yellow card to Julien because it's unsportsmanlike conduct." And we were all like, "We're taking it, no problem." So it was like probably the loudest laugh and the hardest laugh I've ever had in Quidditch tournaments. So, and honestly, there's the if you can find the video on Piotr's channel, honestly, go and watch it, everyone, because it's just for that moment. You don't hear that; you hear more the laughs resulting in this than the action itself. But he was, even now I'm still laughing hard. It was almost 4 years after, and the fact is, I was like, okay, so we had a lot of fun. So let's go back to the camp and for sleeping. And then we all receive a call from the organizers of the festival saying, okay, there's a thunderstorm watch for Sunday, so we are canceling the second day. And just imagine this: we were 9 hours from home in a summer camp, and the bus driver said, "No way, I'm driving you back to Montreal right now. So you're staying, and we do the trip by day during the Sunday." So we're like, okay, so pretty much we have a summer camp for ourselves. So it was Valhalla McGill and us, what can we do? So what happened is the Valhalla folks who had cars pretty much came around every rooms telling us, okay, we are going to LCBO. What do you want? And so basically, instead of having like small team meetings and just having fun, it pretty much started into a big party. And and I still see myself with other so the teams, like the team that stayed were McGill and Valhalla, they stayed together. But us, being dumb as always, as UDM back in 2017, we decided to crash the parties. So McGill wasn't really happy about us because since they were staying with us in the bus during the days, we were also like singing and yelling all day long, as UDM always did back in the time. And so we crashed McGill's party, and they were a bit pissed. And I'm pretty sure, and I apologize, and I still apologize 4 years later about this because I'm pretty sure they're still a bit pissed about it. I hope not, but I think. And I remember, I don't know who, but it ended up in a dance-off with who I don't know. But yeah, I was like, oh boy, it's starting to get wild. And we went to Valhalla's room, and but we're just chilling. Even though some of our players, I can't remember, were just playing slap bets or some sort. So you arrive and you see some Valhalla players slapping themselves in the face, like, okay. So in the end, instead of having a second day of tournament, it transformed into a big party in a summer camp in Ontario, which was very fun to hear and to witness. But I'm not going to lie, the 9-hour trip back home on the Sunday was a bit hard. But it was calmer than for the out trip. But in the end, that tournament was like, oh boy! It was probably the worst Quidditch I've ever played in. Worst Quidditch games I've ever played in. But it's the funniest tournament I've ever seen, besides fantasies. And I will not go into fantasies right now because I don't have enough time to do so. But you all know fantasies can be also wild. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But that tournament was really fun, a fun one. And honestly, if you can have this tournament, but with another version like from Valhalla or even from McGill, you will see the versions will be different from teams to teams. Yeah, but that was a good banter, and especially since Felix and Amna at their best, loud wise. So with Riti was still playing, so Riti was also very loud at the time, and so yeah, we're just in mad tournaments, and it was really funny, and but I still have some good memories in this, and especially meeting the Ottawa teams, and which I still consider as my best opponents to play against, because both Urawa and Carton, ever since I started playing them, it was and it still is always the cleanest games I'm playing, the cleanest games and the most funniest games that we play, because we always laughing, even with the Flamingos. One last story: we were just regionals 2019 against Flamingos Carlton. Both teams with just 13 people in each roster. Last slot of the first day, we were like, you know what? Let's just play the way we think. And I think if you see the videos on the Quidditch Canada YouTube channel, you can actually see some laughs between our two teams while playing, because we're like, we just want to end the game and go home and sleep. We're just so yeah. So, and our friendship with Carlton, our newest friendship with Carlton especially started pretty much at that tournament in 2017. So yeah, it was good fun. So sorry it was a bit long, but
Hey, no,
Take all
that's
the
awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great story, and obviously with COVID, it's tough because we can't really do all these things, but it's great to reminisce and look back at some of like the social memories and whatnot. So thanks so much for sharing those stories.
yeah, I was to finish on this. I was talking with I think it was Christos on the Hacksball tournament that we had last week at the time of recording, and we were just telling ourselves, once it will restart, the first fantasy that we will have, oh boy, but it will be a must-watch. Yeah, I think it would just for that, it would need an episode just for that.
Oh yeah. I'm sure we can definitely have like a full episode of just fantasy stories, because
Oh, yes.
fantasy is fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Marc, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, but thanks for having us. I don't know if you still have other people to come along, but if yes, enjoy the rest of the evening and continue to laugh. It was good fun.
Yeah, awesome. And you're always excited. You're always welcome back to come on for another episode of the podcast. So thanks so much, Marc.
Thanks for having me again, and have a nice night, all.
Great. So thanks again, Marc, for coming on. Great stories. Like I said, it was great to reminisce with some of those social aspects of Quidditch and just kind of hear about some of the behind the scenes, if you will, from some of the tournaments. But yeah, so to wrap up our episode of the podcast on social and some of the stories we see with Quidditch, we're going to kind of share some of our own. So boys, any stories that come to mind that you want to share to close it out?
I go. So this is back during the summer, whatever summer it was, Black Bears. We had the New York tournament, Super Series tournament, with the New York Titans and the Washington Admirals. And so first day was complete, and then that night we all wanted to like go somewhere for our dinner. So we all met up. I think we were trying to like find like a diner or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so we found like this one restaurant, and we misinterpreted like dinner for diner. So when we walked in, everyone's wearing like these nice suits and like, you know, nice dresses and everything.
The story is hilarious.
We're either wearing like our Quidditch gear from that day, or like the clothes that we brought with us. Like we're definitely not dressed to be in this restaurant, but still we go in. We get like a giant table with like maybe 12, 13, 14 of us. Some of the people there are like Gabe, myself, Mo, Sam Guest, Raph, and others. And so we're also at this one table. We have one waitress serving like 13 or 14 of us. So we all order our food. Back then I ate meat, so like I ordered like a burger and fries. I think Gabe, you ordered the same thing. I think Mo, like basically a lot of the guys ordered the same thing. And so
but the key difference was toppings though.
Yes. So like, the waitress came to us. She asked me like, do you want like cheese, bacon, I think like avocado, like the three options. Like, do you want any of those on it? And I was like, what are the prices? So she told me the prices of each one, and like, okay, I'll add the cheese. And I think it was probably like $2 or $3 American dollars. And so it came to Gabe's turn, and then Gabe just like, yeah, I'll take all of you.
We're at a burger place, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, just load it on, throw it all on there. So it's like cheese, bacon, you know. I thought it was like every burger place I've ever been to, it's like the toppings are kind of included. I mean, maybe like the bacon and cheese you pay a little bit extra, but like tomato and like avocado and some of these other things, I was like, just load it up, throw it on, you know what I mean?
At the same time, I ordered like a glass of lemonade, and this is like a fancy restaurant, so like the portions are small, so I paid like $5 or $6 for like this small glass of lemonade. And so
in American too.
Yeah, we're talking small. Like it was probably like in this glass. It was probably like maybe like that. And like with the ice and top, it was even less liquid than that. It was ridiculous.
So like we ate our food and everything, and then like we get our the waitress asked if we want like separate bills, like one giant bill. For some reason, we asked for one giant bill, so we're all trying to calculate how much each person has to pay for the one bill. And then with the tax in America, it's like it's definitely less than here in Canada. But I think with tax and tip, she wanted like 18% or something like that. So then when it came to like seeing how much everything cost, I think Gabe realized afterwards how much his burger.
Yeah, I paid like $40. $40, dude.
I paid
40
something close.
$40 for a burger and like fries, and the burger was like, it wasn't anything special. It was just because it was just like fine dining restaurant that we thought was like a diner, ended up being like wine and dine. Like it was
At the same
ridiculous.
time, mine was like close to that because I paid for like the $5 lemonade, and then so we had to like figuring out how much each person owed. And like Gabe and I probably owed like the majority of it, and then we left like the tip on the total.
This is funny.
the total amount due on the table, I think. And then we all get up to leave, and then the waitress comes to the group of us. Some of us I think already left the restaurant, and then she stopped us at the door, the rest of us, and then she was like, "Was the service bad?" And we're like, "No." And she was complaining that she wanted more tip, because I think it was like 18%, and we gave her 15% because like in Canada we'll give like 50% tip. So she basically stopped us at the door and wouldn't let us leave until we gave her more tip. And like not everybody had cash on them. Some people had cards, some people didn't have anything on them. So whoever did have the cash had to like pay it, and then we ended up leaving afterwards. It was so funny because we spent so much money at this one restaurant. Oh, man.
It was so awkward because like we were all getting up to leave. We had all because like Nick was saying, like we all had to like kind of pitch in, right? So we're all like, hey, well, like mine was $40, so I'll pay like 15%. So like we're all like nickeling and diming because we, like I said, we didn't really have that much. We weren't expecting to spend $40 on a dinner, like because it was for the weekend. So I was like,
American dollars.
Yeah, like I brought like $150 for the weekend. I thought that'd be more than enough, and I'm like, dude, I just spent like a third of what I came with. Like it's ridiculous. And so we're like, okay, well, like who's got cash? We gotta like pitch in for the cash because like you said, it was all on one bill. She wasn't gonna split it. Like there was like probably like 15 or 20 of us there. So it was like, well, we're all gonna have to pitch in, right? So we all pitched in, and then like she literally stopped us at the door. Like I kid you not, stopped us at the door because like I guess by the like in total it was like 15%. Which I mean, considering there's 15 of us, like I get it. Like working a server, it's tough. Like she probably wasn't even making minimum wage, but like it was a decent tip. It was a good chunk of change. And then she literally stopped us at the door, and she's like I said, was it bad service? We're like no, it wasn't bad service. Like we. But and she just like literally, she like looked at us and she's like, oh, and she stormed off, and we're like, and we're all just like awkward, like, can we leave? Like we don't want to like call like the police or something on us. Like
you don't want to just run and then like come.
You kind of wanted to, but at the same time, it's like we don't want to get in trouble. Like we're not really in Canada, so it was just oh man, it was so funny.
But, everyone else is just enjoying their meals and nice quiet, and we're just there like, God.
Yeah, we're stressing over a $40 burger. Like, oh my god. I couldn't believe it, man. I saw that bill. I was like, "Oh my god, it was brutal." But anyways,
I think after you ordered too, like one more thing. I think after you ordered, like Gabe, like you gotta pay extra for those.
Yeah, I still didn't include it until I saw the bill, and I was like, "Wait, what? $3 for avocado?" Like,
you can get an avocado in the store for cheaper.
Probably.
I know exactly. But,
oh man.
That's
my story.
This one's a quick aside because this is what my experience was back when I was in school. But we went out last night to Falls. We had a hotel room, which was a whole nother mess because I think we were only 19, I guess, probably. And the biggest problem was we got this hotel room, and we didn't have someone who was of age to sign us into this hotel room, so we had to get the guys who booked the room, like his mom on the phone. And she got us in, so that was like fine. First mess. We walked around Niagara, that was all good. We'll get some dinner somewhere else from next month, and let's get all these ribs. And I think between the four of us, we crushed like 8 pigs worth of ribs. Like it was a lot. But like we were like, whatever, it's all you can eat. We're gonna make the most of it. And then the bill came, and I pay everything credit. Like I'm always on credit this weekend. I can get cash back one month. We're sitting there and we're like, how much cash does everyone have? And we didn't think ahead to actually go get cash because we're like, we'll have cash for the casino. We're gonna be good. And we just didn't have any cash, so we're sitting there trying to scrounge together as much as we can And we had no idea that, like, in Niagara Falls, they automatically add the gratuity because we had, like, a certain time limit that we passed. They had it, like, it was bumped from, like, 15 to, like, 20%. It's like, all this, we're sitting there, like, we don't have enough money. We don't know what to do. It's dumb second year people just, like, figuring their stuff out. But, yeah, like, if you are on a road trip, know where you are eating. Understand how much it's going to cost. Because you don't want to be in those situations. I'll tell this one real quick. I have a couple about it. I love to tell, and I probably mentioned it on the podcast, but I'll tell you one. So when I joined the Otters, I came back from Europe. I joined the Otters at 08, so I missed the first time and came back for the second. Fun time. Everything was great in Ottawa. Good evening. We bonded. Everything was awesome. Josh Summers, great host, great time. I woke up the next morning because I had to head home because I worked 10 shifts, so I worked Sunday at 10 p.m. I wanted to stay for the tournament. I had all 12 equipment, so we ended up making it work and it was fine because we were setting them up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm heading out, guys. If anyone needs to ride back up towards Toronto, I can help. And Rachel Fabry took me up on the offer, and we didn't really know each other very well, so we were just like talking and getting to know each other. Good ride. We were talking about just random stuff, and going down Ottawa, leave Ottawa, go down the 416, I think is the road, heading south. Everything's good, and we were just driving along. Everything's cool. We take the left exit, and we start driving. Make our turn, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like, something feels off. And I was like, so I real quick, check my pockets, make sure I had everything. Yeah, I'm good. Like, Rachel, do you forget anything by chance? Like, you have all your stuff. I just feel like that's fine. Like, no, everything's good. Keep driving it. Everything's fine. Nothing's a problem. And you just keep driving. Eventually, we realized that, like, despite having Google Maps on and the Siri or whatever Google system voice turned off, we were heading toward Montreal, and we didn't realize for a good like 10-15 minutes, and eventually we see the road sign of like Montreal like ahead, like east or whatever, and I'm like, oh, we're heading the wrong way. And the worst part is, from the 416, I can't remember because I haven't been up in a while, but like, there's an exit there to get head north to Ottawa. But after that, there's not one for another like 15, 20 kilometers or whatever it is. We seemed like we traveled so far toward Montreal, and then we're like, okay, get off, turn around, go back the same way for another like 4 or 5 hours, and we're just like, we just didn't pay attention. We were on the left side lane instead of the right lane when we were getting on the 401. Completely just dumb moment. It was like, well, I'm dumb. And Rachel's like, no, I should have noticed. And we were just like laughing about it. We were sitting there like, we could have made it to Montreal if we were like less attentive. Like, we just wow. Completely could have happened. We were just so out of it.
Wow.
But yeah, another good lesson. Know where you're going. Because the amount of times people
probably a
like,
good idea.
And if you get off the highway, like, know what route you're taking. I went up with, I think I told this one as well. I went up for a Team Canada practice one time, and we got, like, it was me, Zach, Brooke Walker, and another guy, Brennan. And we ended up having to get off the highway. So what we later found out was, like, a tractor trailer with a bunch of cows flipped on the highway, and just cows were loose on the 401 just chilling. And we're like, oh, like, apparently they're telling us to get off, like, that shouldn't be a big deal, like, we'll stick on for another exit. And eventually we heard on the radio that, like, oh yeah, there's cows on the highway, get off, go around. A detour that if there was no traffic, it would have taken 15 minutes. It was an hour and a half for like the shortest like little route to Kingston. Like, I hate these cows so much. I hate all my being. So dumb. But, yeah, much stuff
Gotta
can go
love it.
wrong so fast. I just, I don't know. Close my mouth.
Yeah, well, on the note of the highway story, one last story to quickly wrap it up was I'd love to get someone on who actually was in the car because I don't remember like what exactly happened, but I remember there was Nate. Do you remember what tournament it was? Was it regionals?
Which one? With
Where one of the Queen's cars broke down on the highway.
Oh, that was nationals. At
Hamilton?
what's the school called? McMaster. Yeah, McMaster.
Okay.
Nationals tournament.
Yeah, so like one of the Queen's cars would had like over half the team, I would say. The car like literally broke down on the side of the highway. And then it wasn't it broke down. They needed gas.
They
Or
ran
something like that.
out of gas.
Yeah, they ran out of gas. They ran out of gas for the tournament, and like we were supposed to play within an hour, so we had to like send someone with like a jerry can of gas so we can get to the gas station, and like literally just got to the field. But like we would have definitely played. I think we would have had enough to play, but we would definitely would have been severely like handicapped in terms of subs. But yeah, just that's another tip. Make sure you have enough gas when you're driving a gasoline car.
Yeah.
Well, what's the lessons we learned from those stories? Know what restaurant you're walking into. Pay attention. Like, have gas. Like, it seems so
Basically,
obvious.
pay attention.
Yeah, it seems so obvious, but like you don't realize these things until they happen. Like,
And the last obvious thing that I think we should probably say is if you're driving beside a UDM car, you might want to speed up and get out of there.
Yeah.
oh my god.
But
One of a kind. That's one of the best stories.
yeah, that's for sure. Hands down. I think that's Quidditch
way you
story
told
number
it,
one.
too.
Just,
Oh man, that's right.
just unbelievable. But yeah, with that, I think we'll wrap it up there, boys. Lots of great stories there. If anyone is inspired to come on to do another episode with us, we'd love to have you on. But yeah, hopefully these sort of stories were gave it as many laughs as we had. Just some of the stories just fantastic. But yeah, wrap it up there. Thanks again, everyone, for listening and tuning in. If you aren't already following us on our social, Nate has us there on Instagram. It's CQQC_podcast. So tune in there for updates on some of the content we're putting together with the podcast, as well as kind of checking in on the CQA Facebook group as we kind of make posts there as we're looking for people to come on the podcast and do some recordings. But yeah, if you are interested in coming on and doing this, an episode with stories, we'd love to have you on. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll see everyone next week.